Well, I can't think of too many things that I consider as a downside. If probably the only one is, I guess you're putting yourself out there, and some people might see that as a negative, right? Because you're sharing all this information, and if a potential employer or supervisor sees it, it might affect your career slightly differently if they think you're wasting a lot of time on social media. That's personal opinion.
A lot of people who don't use it think that Twitter is a very superfluous medium, especially since you're limited to 140 characters. But I think it really encourages people to be efficient in their use of words, and I have really enjoyed seeing how people will sort of plug a new paper or a new scientific finding with, a 5 to 10 word attention grabber. And I think it sort of marries that I guess marketing aspect of how to interact with the public about your science with linking them to the formal papers and more formal media. And so I think it can be good for that.
For me, personally, I think the only real downside is that it's interesting enough that it might take some of my time away, where I might just plan on checking Twitter for a couple minutes, but then I start in a conversation with someone, and then that might last for half an hour. And so that's time I should be working on like an email or a proposal or teaching or something, and so that's a problem. But but then again, if there's something that's actually a productive engagement with your colleagues, that's not necessarily a bad thing. What some people say is a drawback, or is that you might be, perceived negatively for choosing to be involved in that kind of social media. I haven't seen any real evidence of that, and especially if people are using Twitter, then those are the people who'd be interested in seeing you on Twitter. So if someone doesn't know you're on Twitter because they're not on Twitter, that's not necessarily a negative thing. But if someone's on Twitter and they see you on Twitter, and if you're discussing your science, then that's a positive.
So the main thing that I think a lot of people have a problem with is that because you're limited to 140 characters, you have to either use multiple tweets to get across what you want to say, or you just can't say enough. And I've actually found that to be kind of a positive, because it forces you to be really concise and clear about the message you're trying to deliver. I actually have been trying to get my students that I TA for to summarize their arguments in the form of a tweet. So if they can make it clear to me that they understand something really well, they can do it in 140 characters. And so I've been using Twitter for that, and it's been really effective.